Hello everyone, this is part 3 of What If Naruto and Sakura Got Close, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Previously, you want to save her, right? Well, in order to do that, you have to stay away from her. To save Sakura means that he had to stay away from her. It's up to you, Naruto-kun. You could or you could save her. Kabuto finished. Soon, he was gone, leaving Naruto behind to think about his options. If he stays with Sakura, she would because of him. If he left Sakura, he would inside without her. Your choice, Naruto-kun. Naruto stood motionless in the middle of the living room, evoking on the past event that had just taken place. He didn't know what to think, it had all happened so fast. He wanted to run after Kabuto, but he was frozen on the spot where he stood helplessly. There's a poison running through her veins, Naruto. A poison that only you can activate. Kabuto's words echoed within his mind, driving him wild and furious. Why did he become weak all of a sudden? He could have knocked him out, he knew it. But, the moment he heard Sakura's name, all strength had left him. Sakura, he said with a trembling voice. Naruto's breathing was getting heavier and heavier. He just wanted to sit down and contemplate on what just happened. For some time, he just stood there, lost in his thoughts. The ringing of his clock snapped him out of whatever it was he had fallen into, and so he walked over to the chair and sat down. You will Naruto. You will The words kept coming back, firm on making him miserable. Were those words that Kabuto said just words? Could he have lied to make Naruto this way? He didn't know. There could be a chance that Kabuto was just messing with him. Maybe Kabuto was just that sick and twisted. That has to be it, he was just bluffing. Naruto thought. But, did he really want to risk the chance of hurting Sakura just because he thought Kabuto was faking it? He couldn't. No. He wouldn't risk that. Sakura meant everything to him, and without her, there wouldn't be much to live for. Sure, he would still have his friends, but Naruto doubted he would be happy without her there. Naruto sat there a bit longer. Why not just ask Tsunade to cure the poison in Sakura? She is the greatest medic Konoha has around, so who better to do the task than her? It would have been a bright idea, but fear got the worst of him. Say he goes to Tsunade and tell her everything. What makes him so sure that Kabuto would not come back for revenge? What if Kabuto could just as easily activate the poison as he so claimed that Naruto could? What would stop him from doing so? Kabuto wouldn't congratulate him for outsmarting him, no, he would come back with something more devastating. Naruto couldn't go to Tsunade for this, he didn't want to jeopardize the only chance he had to save Sakura. He had no other choice. How does this look? Ino asked her friends as she held up a blue top. It's okay, but I still think that the purple suits you more. Sakura replied. Yeah, Tenten added. The girls were out shopping at Konoha's only shopping center. They all wanted to just get out and spend the day together, and usually that meant shopping. Alright. Ino placed back the clothing. She started to look around for more again when she spotted a nice kimono on display. Hey Hinata, look at this. Hinata turned at the sound of her name. This would look so cute on you. Ino grabbed one and rushed to Hinata's side. Once there, Ino immediately pulled Hinata into a dressing room, forcing her to try it on. While Hinata was occupied by Ino, Sakura decided to look around the store some more. Tenten was too busy looking around herself, so Sakura really had nothing better to do. She saw nothing of interest in the room, which was filled with endless racks of feminine clothing. Not that she didn't want any of it, it was just that something seemed to be drawing her attention away from it all. Minutes of aimless walking, Sakura found herself inside another store. The walls were occupied by wooden shelves, which held a variety of things, some were headbands and some were scrolls. In the middle of the room there was a table with different types of weapons. Like shurikens, kunais, and senbons. Sakura looked around, not particularly because she was interested in what she was seeing, but because something was calling out to her. She didn't know what, but there was something in the room that was drawing her in. She walked to the back corner of the store, finding nothing much in there either, just shelves of consumer items. She was about to turn and leave when something caught her eye. On one of the shelves, she saw a necklace. Sakura walked over to it and picked it up. The necklace wasn't much, it was a simple accessory with a simple design, but what really caught her eye were the two flames engraved on the stone. They were side by side, one was red and the other blue. Sakura turned the stone around and on the back of it was a swirl. It reminded her so much of Naruto. There your forehead. Sakura turned around after hearing Ino's voice. We've been looking for you. Sorry you guys, I kinda lost track of time. She apologized. Ino just stood there while Hinata weakly smiled and Tenten nodded. Ready to go. I just have to get something, Sakura said before she grabbed the necklace again and headed to the register. Sakura walked into her room. It was starting to get dark and the weather was getting colder and colder. She walked over to the window and shut it closed, off the chilly breeze. Have I ever mentioned how much I hate winter? Ina, Sakura said, hoping to start a conversation. Once or twice. Yes. Well, I don't like it. Better get used to it then, Sakura advised her. On her way back, Sakura noticed a folded paper on her desk. She unfolded it and began reading. Sakura, meet me at the park. She looked at the paper, turned it over and scanned the back. That's it. Ina, Sakura was a little surprised by the brevity of the note. There was nothing else written on the paper, except the note itself and the name of the person who sent it. Naruto never writes me letters like these. Sakura found it a little suspicious that Naruto would start doing so when all his life he never once approached her like this. Maybe he was in a rush, or he couldn't find you, she offered to Sakura. Possibly. Sakura looks at her clock and realized that it was 10 to 7. Oh crap. Sakura rushed to her drawer and took out a tiny box. She grabbed a coat and within seconds she was gone. The air blew past as it carried the freezing wind with it. The sun had already set, but still some light remained. A gloomy young man was sitting on a bench in the middle of a desolate field. He was looking down on the ground as he sat there. There was no one else there except him. His dreary presence caused everything to ess around him. The animals that usually grazed the land were gone, hiding from the dull world outside. The tree that stood beside the bench was withering, preparing for the long sleep it was about to take. Even the grass was due to the unpleasant climate it was being subjected to. Everything seemed so obscure in the dusk. Nothing was alive. Naruto sat there quietly. How could he possibly do this? He knew he had no choice, but that didn't make it easier. How could he look at her face and see her heart breaking in front of him? It's for her own good, he kept telling himself, it's for her own good, but even that didn't help. It wouldn't help him feel better because he was still breaking her heart. Even with him knowing this, it still made him feel terrible because she doesn't know. To Sakura, it was a breakup, a simple and ugly breakup. She didn't know what Naruto knew, so she's going to think that there is something wrong with her, that she's not good enough for him. She would blame herself for it. Naruto didn't want that, but what else could he do? Naruto sat there as his body shook and a tear fell from his eye. What are you doing? You can't be like this, you have to be strong, he told himself while he wiped the tear away. You've got to, he was about to cry, got to be strong for her, Naruto said to himself, trying to hold his composure. It made him feel slightly better. Only slightly. He looks up into the silent field as he tries to think about anything except for the event to come. He tried thinking about the first time he received a ninja headband, he thought about his days in the academy, how he would always get in trouble when he was out training with Jiraiya, anything but her. But he found that the solitude provided by his heart and mind drew him back to thinking about her. He hears the footsteps of someone approaching, so he turned around. There was Sakura walking towards him and she was smiling. Her presence and the way she was smiling, he didn't know why, but it made him feel better. It made him smile. For a brief second. Soon, he remembered why he was there and his spirit once more. Hey Naruto, why did Sakura stop talking? She noticed Naruto's face. It was different, it wasn't happy like it always is. Like it should be. What's wrong, Naruto? Sakura was motionless, terrified to come any closer. She was afraid. Naruto would never look like this unless something horribly wrong had happened. Naruto walked towards her. Sakura ch. Sakura. He said limply. We need to talk. The emission of the honorific brought a chill to her spine. What's wrong, Naruto? Has something happened? She asked him with so much concern in her eyes. It broke his heart. No, nothing happened, he said in the same manner as before. Sakura seemed to lighten up a bit, but she was still concerned. Something was disturbingly wrong. Naruto looked around, looking at everything except for her eyes. Do you want to sit down? He asked, looking at the bench. Sakura was still worried. She had no idea what was going on with him and it terrified her so much not knowing. They walked to the chair and sat down. They fell into an awkward silence. Sakura was too afraid to say a word while Naruto was too busy trying to avoid eye contact. So she waited for him to say something. Sakura, Naruto begins, I want. He tried to say it, but he found out that it was harder in real life than when he had practiced it. Naruto. She grabbed his hand and squeezed it, silently asking him what the problem was. That made him feel even worse than he already was. I can't do this, he told himself. He pulled his hand back. Sakura was confused as to why he did that, but it mostly hurt. He rejected her. Why is he acting like this? She asked herself. There was another moment of uneasy silence. Naruto, what, going on? Did I do something? I want to break up. Quote. Now the silence was deafening. Only the chilling air made a sound as it breezed. Everything around them seemed to ess even more. Did she hear him right? Did he just say what she thought he did? What? She asked him as if she didn't hear him correctly. Well, she didn't want to hear what she heard. Did she do something wrong? All of a sudden, she felt heavy, almost nauseous. Naruto couldn't look at her in the eyes because he was afraid to see what she was feeling. I don't want to be with you anymore. He said it as convincing as he could make it. I don't want to see you anymore. It made him feel like a jackass saying these things to her. He wanted to punch himself for doing so. What are you talking about, Naruto? She asked him, hoping that it was just some bad joke he was playing with her. But the way he said it, the way he was avoiding her made it all real. I can't believe what you're saying, Sakura said. Naruto wanted to tell her so badly that he had no other choice, but he couldn't. It was as if an invisible barrier has placed itself between him, blocking him from her. I thought you loved me. Her voice was shaking. I do love you, he said desperately as he finally looked her in the eyes. Then why are you saying these things? She yelled back. Her eyes were starting to water. Quote. He couldn't answer her. Naruto, why are you doing this? Sakura was crying now, letting her emotions go as she tried to plead reason with him. Naruto wanted so badly to hold her and wipe her tears away, but doing so meant giving up. So he sat there not showing that he cared, hiding from her what pain this was causing him. Naruto got up and turned his back to her. Don't cry, Sakura, I'm not worth crying over. Her sobbing only got worse. Naruto, why you didn't mean this? Tell me you don't mean it. She couldn't hold the tears anymore. Naruto stands with his back on her. I do. Her heart shattered. Naruto felt sick and disgusted with himself for doing this to her. He didn't want to stay there any longer because the more he stayed the more it hurt. He began to walk away, but Sakura did something that caused his broken heart to disintegrate into millions of pieces. She hugged him. She fell on her way due to the fact that she was so distraught, so she held him around his legs as she sat helplessly on the cold ground, crying her eyes out. Naruto wanted to turn around and pick her up, say he was sorry for saying it. All the things he wanted to do so badly but couldn't because of a simple liquid, which drove him insane. He knew every moment he spent with her was a moment in which she ate little by little. So he wanted to just say it and leave, no explanations whatsoever. But there was something within him holding him back, telling him that he couldn't possibly leave her like this. He didn't know exactly what the poison would do to her, but he does know that he can't leave things with Sakura this way. All he wanted now was just one last moment with her. Naruto, what did I do wrong? She held him tighter. If we have problems then we should talk about it. Naruto couldn't hold it anymore. He started to cry. I mean that's what people do when they have problems. They talk about it. She was crying so hard that it was almost impossible to understand what she was saying. Do you not love me? Did I do something you didn't like? Was I not good enough? That was it. He didn't care if every minute he spent with her meant yes even more. He couldn't live with her thinking that. He turned around and sat on the ground with her. Sakura, he cupped her face with his hands. Don't ever think that. He said with a demand in his voice. He wanted to tell her that there was nothing about her that he doesn't love and not a moment he doesn't cherish, but he didn't. He couldn't. Listen to me when I say that there is no one better. No one. He said the last two words with great emphasis. Then why? She looked at him with teary red eyes, her voice still hysterical. No answer. Her tears started streaming down again with every question he doesn't answer. It connected. But then he pulled back. I can't, Sakura. It will only make things worse. I'm sorry. With that said, Naruto stood back up. Naruto, please, you don't mean this. Please don't leave me. She was running to him, trying to cling on. She didn't care about her desperation anymore. All she knows and wanted is that she was not going to lose Naruto. She felt so many things all at once and it was all too familiar. She didn't want to go through this again. Once was enough for her, she didn't want to be sad again. All of this just made her remember the first time her heart was broken. That time in this very same spot where she tried holding on to him too, when she thought that maybe he will stay for her. But just like then, she couldn't hold on. You should go, Sakura. Naruto said to her. I'm not leaving. Sakura. I'm not going, Naruto. You can't do this. Do you even know what you are saying? She fought on, not giving in. Sakura. You don't know what. Just leave. Sakura became silent. Naruto never yelled at her. Ever. Quote. She tried saying something, but his last words were too hurtful. She felt completely horrible, distraught, and sick to her stomach. She couldn't do anything else. She had lost and now she had to leave him. Sakura thought she couldn't cry anymore, but then another wave of tears streamed down her face. She couldn't stand being there anymore. Every moment she stayed was making the pain worse and worse. I'm sorry, Sakura. Naruto turned around to face her, but found no one there. He looked around, but she was gone. She must have run away. Naruto couldn't bear the thought that he had just said those things, done those things to her. Naruto turned to leave, but on his way he spotted a box lying on the bench. It was the box Sakura was holding onto earlier. Naruto picked it up. I'm sorry, but, Naruto turns to walk home. I had no other choice. Previously. I'm sorry, Sakura. Naruto turns around to face her, but found no one there. He looked around, but she was gone. She must have run away. Naruto couldn't bear the thought that he had just said those things, done those things to her. Naruto turns to leave, but on his way he spots a box lying on the bench. It was the box Sakura was holding onto earlier. Naruto moves closer to pick it up. I'm sorry, but, Naruto turns to walk home. I had no other choice. Naruto walked slowly into his room, distressed and worn out. The world outside seemed to move on just fine as he slowly inside from the pain. Life went on, not caring that he was suffering from the greatest pain he could ever think of, something even worse than the pain of being alone. No one knew, no one cared. Life on Earth moved on and with no hesitations of leaving him behind if he was to fall down. He looked out his window and heard everyone. He could hear the mother scolding her son for running around. He heard the sound of a happy little kid because his father had just bought him the latest issue of his favorite magazine. He heard the squeals of young girls as they played in the park. He hears them all, but no one hears him. How he wanted to just break down and cry then and there with her. How he wanted to just hold her for one more second and smell her sweet scent one last time. And how he wanted to touch her. He thought he could do it and not think about her, but there had not been a second that he didn't. He thought that he could go through with all of it and put the pain aside by not thinking about it. But who was he kidding? How could he not think about her? She was everything he ever wanted and ever needed. She was the love of his life. Sakura was a heavenly being that lifted him high. Her cute little habits, the way she would innocently smile for him, and the way she confided in him were his weaknesses. Naruto loved how she would talk about her day, how good it was or how terrible it was. He loved the small talk about nothing that they had shared. He loved the way she would move her eyes, how she would squint at just the right moments to make her look absolutely irresistible. He loved how she would gently smile and move her head to the side, as if she was shy, to show that she was proud of him. He missed her angelic face. He longed to touch it once more, just to feel her soft skin again. He missed being with her. He wanted to wake up and see her beside him, like the way they used to be. He missed being close to her. Her very presence was enough to make him weak for days. He loved that about her. How she could simply have him sweating by just being beside him. The pain was all too real to him. The things he missed were too much to take, yet it provided him with comfort. It somehow made him feel better. Maybe because he knew that he had actually had those things with her instead of having just dreamt about them. Naruto looked to the side where his desk is. He took out a box from the drawer. It was that same box he had found lying on the ground that dreadful day. Naruto would often reach for it whenever the loneliness and depression became unbearable. He would look at it and suddenly feel better. Maybe something about the necklace or the fact that it was from Sakura made him feel better. Maybe because looking at it made him think that Sakura is thinking of him still. Sakura-chan, he said out loud as he looked at the necklace. There, that's the last of them. Shikamaru said as he placed down the last of the boxes. It was sunny outside, a bright and beautiful day. The children were running around like crazy on the grass, because it was that time of the year that makes everyone so happy. The butterflies were dancing with the fluttering flowers and flitting along with the breeze. The birds were out and singing to each other, the trees were vividly colorful, and the weather couldn't be better. Inside the room, however, was another story. The floor was undistinguishable due to the many things that occupied it, the various papers that covered the top and sides of it. Boxes were everywhere, securing a spot on every corner of the room. There were lamps, cookbooks, candles, and various other things on top of the coffee table, waiting to be placed in the designated spots. Just forget about organization, because it was non-existent here. The silverware was on the study table, clothes that were supposed to be hanged were lying on the dining table, and overall it was just a mess. Thanks Shikamaru. A girl with lively pink hair said. She walked over to her chair and sat down. It had been a long day for her. You gonna be okay here, Sakura? He asked as he walked over to her side and sat down. The girl seemed to think for a second, yeah. The calm soothing feeling that spring brought along was getting to her. All she wanted to do was lie down and sleep the rest of the day away, but then again Sakura didn't want to waste valuable time. She could be cleaning or organizing her things in her new apartment for the rest of the day, and quite frankly, she had nothing better to do. It's a really nice place, you know. Yeah, I still can't believe I got it. Sakura replied to the boy sitting next to her. For some time, the two just admired the beautiful room that they were in. I have so many things to do. Shikamaru chuckled. Well, you better get started then. This is a lot of things you have to unpack. If only I can get up. Sakura said lazily. Ino is coming over later, right? Shikamaru asked, pretending that he was just asking a simple question with simple answer, to help you out. Yeah. Sakura already knew about his feelings, but she wanted to give him the chance to tell Ino himself. Besides, she really didn't want to play matchmaker with these two. Why are you so interested all of a sudden? Shikamaru didn't make a move, he didn't even tense up. He's good at this. Ina Sakura added. Just curious. He said simply. Sakura decided to leave it at that, she knew there was no hope in this conversation anyway. There you are, slackers. A man with raven black hair walked into the room. He placed the box he was holding on the table so he could go and scold the two. Sorry Sasuke, we got tired and wanted to sit down for a while. Sakura innocently offered. Well, I better go. I'm kind of tired anyway. Shikamaru exhaled as he got up and left the room. Thanks again, Shikamaru. Shikamaru waved a goodbye before he left the apartment. Sakura and Sasuke were left alone in the room. So, have you decided on what you're going to do with the place? Sasuke asked, hoping to start a conversation. Sorta. I think I might make this a study room/s living room. I don't have that much space. Well, that could work, but maybe you should Sasuke screamed as the pile of boxes next to him collapsed and fell on him, burying him underneath. Sakura rushed to his side to make sure he was alright. You alright? Why yeah. Sakura helped the pathetic boy up. She wondered if Sasuke was really that slow now, not even catching the boxes as they fell on him. Once Sasuke was up, Sakura moved away so she could give him some space. Sasuke, however, pulled her in closer where they could feel each other's breath. Sakura became nervous because they were so close and that fact that Sasuke was so calm about this. She didn't know what to do, she had never been in this position before, well, not with Sasuke at least. His breathing, the movement of his chest as they expanded and contracted was mesmerizing to her. Sasuke gently rubbed his hand up her arm, making her shiver. He made quiet breathing sounds and he slowly moved closer to her. His scent was soothing and his touch was gentle. He was getting closer and closer and her heartbeat was getting faster and faster. She'd been waiting for this for as long as she could remember and now that it was about to happen. Quick, she needed something, anything to distract him and get her out of this predicament. Sneeze, cough, burp. Do something. Sasuke pulled back, a little embarrassed that she turned him down. Yeah, Sasuke had never experienced rejection and when he did, he didn't like it. To say the least, he was irritated by it, but he couldn't let that show. Yeah, I should go too. Busy you know. There was an awkward silence. Sakura was backing away and busying herself with chores while Sasuke was on his way out. Sasuke was about to say something before he left, but decided against it. Soon, Sasuke was gone. Sakura released a breath as she sat down. She wasn't sure what just happened there, nor was she sure she wanted it. Did she? She had been waiting for this her whole life and when she had been given the chance, she'd ruined it. I'm not ready yet, Sakura said to herself. She moved to close the door, but before she did, she looked outside one more time. She took in the scenery and when she was satisfied, she closed the door. I'm not ready to give in yet, Naruto. Slam. The room shook from the force of the closing door, and a dark figure strode in, apparently aggravated. Sasuke walked over to his chair and sat down. It was dark in his room because the lights were off and the windows were shut. There was not a single source of light in the room save the one coming through a crack in one of the windows. It gave an ominous atmosphere. Did you have a bad day? Sasuke stiffened at the sound of someone's voice. Although he knew who it was already, he was just caught off guard. Why are you here? Kabuto stepped out of the dark. Dear Sasuke, you should know this by now. Do I have to remind you? Once more couldn't hurt. Sasuke remained cool and collected. I told you, I held my end of the deal and now you have to hold yours. So, when will I get it? Soon. I almost got him last time, but you didn't. Kabuto finished the sentence for him. Well, that can't help me at all, now can it? Sasuke fell silent. Kabuto was the one running things here right now. Listen Uchiha, I didn't do this so you could go play family with your little girlfriend. I want. It was Sasuke's turn to interrupt. I know. Sasuke tried pleading with him. You will get your new body soon. Kabuto slithers his tongue across, very much liking the sound of that. You've taken enough time, Uchiha. Better not take long. Kabuto said as he disappeared. Sasuke took a few moments to take in what he just said. Sometimes he wished he had never made this deal. Sasuke decided that there was no use in crying over it and so he got up and walked out the door. Don't make me take matters into my own hands, Sasuke. He locked the door and headed over to Naruto's house. Sakura was lying on her couch, fast asleep and dreaming. In her subconscious, she could hear a rhythm, an unsteady beat of loud notes. She was, however, too concentrated in her unconscious thoughts to care enough to find out the source of the sound. Bang, bang. Slowly, the notes became louder and louder, almost drowning out everything else in her mind, yet it wasn't enough to wake her. In her dream, Sakura saw a figure. The body looked masculine and though she couldn't distinguish the person, it gave off a familiar feeling. Whoever he was, she had a feeling deep within her telling her that she knew him. How are you? The man in her dream asked. I'm getting by. Sakura replied. She didn't know what she was doing, or rather she had no control of it. She knew she was dreaming, yet she couldn't stop herself from saying anything. How about you? Quote. The man didn't say anything, but Sakura understood exactly what he meant by it. There was a feeling of trust between the two and a feeling of ease. They knew each other and trusted each with their lives. Sakura knew who he was, but at the same time didn't. Her heart knew this person and she trusted him, but her memories blurred him, made him undistinguishable. Bang! The sound came back. Where is that coming from? She asked herself. Why are you here? Sakura asked. She didn't even know how she just said that, because she wasn't moving her lips, or at least she didn't intend to move her lips. It was as if someone made her speak, or maybe she was just an observer of the two people speaking to each other. I wanted to see you. The man's expression became gloomy. Then all of a sudden, she also became sad. The guy standing in front of her seemed so depressed, so lonely, and it made her remember how she felt that day when that terrible thing happened. She felt sympathy for him, she understood his pain and sorrow. This guy was crying out to her, and she knew it, but she shouldn't do anything. She was just forced to stand there as her mind told her the tragic story of two young people. Why did you go? Sakura asked him in empathy, knowing well the answer. I had to leave, the man told her. It was the same as before. Every time she asked him that question, he would give that answer. Bang! The sound was so loud this time that it frightened them. The man standing in front of her got terrified and started backing away. Don't go, she pleaded with him, but her words were soft. Like the words of someone trying to comfort someone in pain. Bang! Slowly, Sakura drifted away from her dream, pulled by an unknown force. She tried running to him, but everything turned dark before she could take another step. She wasn't ready to give up yet, so she screamed his name, hoping that he would hear her and come back. The loud rhythm continued and soon, it pulled her out of her mind and back to reality. Sakura woke up to the bright light of her new apartment with the lovely sound of someone knocking impatiently on the door. Forehead. Open up. Ino kept up her unyielding pursuit of knocking the door down by punching it repeatedly. Forehead. Sakura took a few moments to wake up and wipe the sleep off her eyes. Open up. Sometimes she wondered if Ino's voice was naturally that annoying or if Ino was just that good at making people feel annoyed. I'm here. Sorry, I fell asleep. Sakura rushed to the door and opened it, letting Ino in. God, Sakura. Seriously, you ought to learn how not to fall asleep when you know someone is coming over. Ino attacked her with words as she walked in the room. Well, you ought to learn how to lower your voice, she fired back. Seriously, you know you don't have to yell every last word. It works, Ino said in her usual manner of voice to Sakura. What were you doing anyway? I told you, I fell asleep. Sakura told her again. Then Sakura remembered what had just happened before Ino interrupted her. I had a bad dream. This was the fourth time this week that she dreamt about him. Of course the dreams varied from one another, but it was basically the same story. Every night she would find herself lost in a dark, timeless world with the same guy. Sometimes she would be dreaming about simple things and then the set would change and she would find herself in an unknown place, talking to him. It was the same conversation all the time. He would ask how she was doing and then she would ask him. Then he would say that he wanted to see her and go away. Every time she dreamt about him, there was always something that seemed to pull him away from her. Were you dreaming about? Yeah. Sakura before she could finish. Sakura knew that Ino wanted to hear the dream, but Ino wouldn't force it out of her. Even though her mind ached to remember and her heart fled from grief, she started to tell her. I was dreaming of Naruto again. Ino became silent, letting Sakura take the stage, because she knew well that she couldn't say anything that would make her feel better in this situation. She understood the pain Sakura was going through and she wanted to help her ease it, because after all, Sakura deserved it. We were talking and I asked him how he was doing. Sakura searched within her mind for the memory. She was hurting still, but by saying it out loud made her feel better. He said nothing, but I knew. Ino was listening intently. He didn't have to say it because it showed in his face. I knew he felt lonely. Sakura recalled Naruto's reaction to that question, how his lips frowned upon hearing her say those words. How he became sad all of a sudden. Although it was just a dream, meaning that all his expressions and concern were her heart and mind's hope, she couldn't help but wish he was lonely, but not because she wanted him to suffer, but because by being sad, she knew that he still had feelings for her. At least, that's what she would think it meant, but then again, she hadn't seen him for a long time since the breakup. Ever since that day, she only saw little, if not any, of him. Occasionally she would find him at the training grounds alone, practicing and getting better, but aside from those moments she hadn't been close to him since that day. Sakura chuckled at her own self-pity. I want him to feel lonely without me. I want him to miss me. It took a lot of courage for her to say that, mostly because she felt somewhat ashamed that she became like this. Ino understood exactly what she meant. Sakura wanted Naruto to miss her because deep down she was still in love with him. Sakura wanted to know that Naruto felt the same way even now, after all that had been said and done between them. She knew Sakura wasn't bitter about it but only hurt by what had happened between her and Naruto. You really miss him, don't you? It took all Sakura had not to cry after that. Of course she missed him more than she could have ever known. Every single day she thought about him, although it was painful for her. Painful to know that they could have had something more, something deeper than what they were then. Maybe they could be with each other right now instead of broken apart, perhaps they would have been on a romantic vacation away from the world and its cruelties, and maybe, just maybe they would be living together by now. Regret hurt her so much she sometimes wondered if it would have been better if they never had gotten together in the first place. Was it all worth it? Were all the happy times, however short they were, that they shared together worth the pain that it had caused her now? Did she deserve to feel so much for him, to love him so much she would give her life for him only to suffer from it? Why is it that when she finally found someone, life snatches him away from her? Why did she deserve to go through life's cruel joke of giving her happiness for once only to take it away the minute when she's most vulnerable? Why this and why that? How her life is now revolving around shame, guilt, and regret. Yeah, I miss him. Sakura accepted it, hell she might as well have glorified it. Sometimes I wish he was still here just so I could hold him, you know. Geez, Sakura, you talk about him like he is or something. Ino pointed out. Is there a difference? Sakura only smiled at Ino's words but somewhat hurt and confused by it. Sakura didn't want to talk about it anymore and so she started unpacking more of her things as Ino did the same. Remember, Naruto snapped out of his musings to hear the question. He was just thinking about how to answer her and so he retreated to the safety that is his memory. It was hard for him to think with Sakura softly caressing his hair as he rested his head on her legs. How could I forget? He finally said. Sakura looked down on him and smiles. It was about 8 months ago when they were on a mission. It was just the two of them. Sai had suspiciously gotten a cold that very day and Yamato strangely disappeared, and Kakashi was still in the hospital at that point. Naruto's belongings had been mysteriously misplaced, and so he wasn't prepared for the ugly, brutal rain that they encountered. As they were walking along the seemingly dry earth, the sky started getting darker and began grumbling, and before they could think about it, it started raining. Shortly afterwards, the ground softened and started turning into liquid, and every step they made only made it worse. The rain was pouring down on them, beating them to the ground. Okay, that's a lie, but the point is it was raining hard. They didn't know what to do, it just started raining without warning. We need to find shelter, Naruto. Sakura said as she looked around for anything they could use to hide from the rain. Naruto was looking around too. After all, if he didn't get out of this place soon, he might catch something, but also, he didn't have spare clothes. Sakura-chan, look. Sakura did what Naruto instructed. There's a house over there, see? And indeed there was. They fought through the muddy field, fell a few times and got back up. It felt like they had been running for years after they got to the place. They were soaked and dirty and just plain stunk. Their feet were covered in mud up to their knees and their faces, especially Naruto's, were covered with who knows what. Ah, I'm so dirty. Sakura cried out, trying her best to wipe away the dirt from her face. Well, at least we're out of the rain. Naruto tried to offer as consolation. He knew Sakura didn't like being seen in unpleasant situations, but Naruto didn't think she looked horrid. They knocked on the door, but there was no answer. They tried again, yet there was still no answer. Naruto walked over to a window and peered in. I don't think anyone is in there. The place looks abandoned inside. He saw nothing in the room except a few boxes and a number of logs scattered about the floor. Sakura, not wanting to stay out there any longer, broke the door open and strode in, and Naruto soon followed her. Inside the house, there was nothing to be seen, save from a few cobwebs on the ceiling. The two first made sure that there was no one in there, and after about 3 minutes of searching, they found no one. Okay, we need to change out of our clothes and dry up, Sakura began, completely forgetting the fact that Naruto had nothing with him. We're going to need water to clean our clothes and shower with. I'm sure we can find a bucket in here somewhere. Naruto tried jumping in to tell her that he had nothing to wear, but Sakura continued on, if not, we will just make our own. Sakura-chan. Then we have to wait the rain out, no use trying to go on with the weather like this. Sakura-chan. As soon as our clothes dry and the rain stops, we should keep going. Sakura-chan. What? She finally noticed that he was trying to tell her something. I don't have anything to change into. He said it plainly since there was no other way of doing so. Oh, she remembered that Naruto had lost his things on their way here, and they couldn't turn back because they had gotten far. She tried thinking of a solution to his problem, but she couldn't think of anything. Well, she did think of one thing, but that couldn't work out. Well, I suppose you could just wear some of my baggier clothes until yours are dry. Naruto choked at her solution. But Sakura-chan, how could I possibly fit in your clothes? Then she realized that Naruto was bigger than her and would require bigger clothes. Then she thought of something else. Well, just wear something over that area and just not wear clothes. Naruto's eyes widened in shock. Did she just say that? Did I just say that? Hell yeah, you did. Sakura laughed after remembering that time. Haha, you looked so ridiculous with that grass skirt on. Unfortunately for him, Sakura had nothing that could fit him and so he had to improvise. He went outside and started making his own clothes. But, I realized something that day. Sakura stopped her laughing to focus on her original point. After that time with you, I realized that I wanted more. Sakura confessed to him. At that moment, I felt something deep within me, and I realized. Sakura looked down at him. I love you. This was the first time Sakura had told him that, but yeah, of course she had said she loved him, but she had never said how she did. He decided to ignore her question. Yo, she said, snap out of it, dude. What? Naruto opened his eyes. He looked around to see that he was in a bar and right beside him was Kiba. Dude, man, you were so out of it. Kiba notified him. Yeah, we were yelling your name and everything, but still nothing. He looked to his other side to find Shikamaru. Then he remembered that he had gone out with the guys tonight for some drinks. In his case, some would be an understatement. I think you better stop drinking and just go home, Naruto. Thanks, Chuji. I think I might just do that. Naruto tried to get up. He was a little wobbly at first, but then he straightened up. Yo man, you that drunk? Kiba asked him. Naruto shook his head. Nah, I'm just a little tired is all, I mean just waking up and all that. But no, I'm not drunk. Naruto told them. He was on his way out of the place when someone stopped him. Wait up, I'll go with you. A man with black hair ran up to him. Sasuke, you sure you don't want to stay? No, I'll go with you. Sasuke insisted on going with him. The two ninjas were walking on the empty street. Neither one said a word to each other, not that they needed to anyway. They were comfortable in the silence they were in. Just when they were about to reach the training grounds, Sasuke decided to ask him something. Hey, you feel like getting your ass kicked? Sasuke said to him as he motioned his head towards the field. Ha, don't make me laugh, Uchiha. The two ran to the place, got on their in-battle positions and prepared to fight it out. Last time you got off easy, Sasuke, Naruto taunted him, hoping to get the best out from him. Don't think you be as lucky this time. Please. That was all he said. Naruto put his hand to his holster, preparing to draw out a kunai, while Sasuke did the same. For a moment they just watched each other, trying to see who would make the first move. It was quiet, the two made no sound aside from their breathing. A leaf flew by, carried by the wind, and before it had a chance to go on, a kunai pierced right through it. Naruto rolled to his side as he tried to avoid the sharp weapon. He looked up and Sasuke was gone. He stands on the ready and looked for him. The field was empty, there was no trace of Sasuke anywhere. Naruto couldn't rely on his eyes for this one, so he closed them and tuned up his hearing. Nothing. But Naruto didn't give up, he knew Sasuke was out there somewhere. He concentrated just a little bit harder. He hears a twig snap on his right side. Naruto quickly pulled out a shuriken and threw it in that direction. Sasuke came jumping out. You should know by now that hiding from me doesn't work. Naruto reminded him. Sasuke ignored him and instead pulls out another kunai and rushes him. Cling. Their weapons s each other, making tiny sparks as they rubbed. Sasuke tried gaining the advantage by punching him, but Naruto blocked them just as easily. Naruto lunged forward, throwing Sasuke off balance. There, Naruto saw an opening. He leaned in to smack Sasuke on the face, but on his way, the necklace fell out of his pocket. Naruto saw it as it fell and he suddenly saw Sakura. He couldn't let that fall, he had to save it. Naruto turns his focus to the object, giving Sasuke an opening. Sasuke kept going, slitting across Naruto's side. He could hear Naruto scream in pain, but he didn't stop, he didn't want to. Naruto fell to ground, clutching the necklace tight in one hand as the other tried to protect his wound. You're really out of it, Naruto. We should stop. Sasuke puts away his weapon, besides, that wound looks terrible. It's nothing, I heal fast. Naruto tried getting up, but the pain on his side was too much for him and so he fell back down. Sasuke walked over to help him up. Sure you do, but I think you ought to get that checked. Just in case. Nonsense, I don't need to get it checked. Naruto tried assuring him, mostly because he didn't want to go to the hospital, but Sasuke wouldn't have it. You're going, and that's the end of that. Sasuke helped him up and dragged him along to the hospital. Naruto didn't like the idea of going there, but he was far too weak to do anything about it. He had no choice but to go. Naruto could hear the sounds of the bird chirping. He could faintly picture the world outside right now. He heard a steady beep of a monitor beside him. He remembered where he was now. Slowly, Naruto opened his eyes to the blinding, bright sunlight. He looked around the room and to find that he is in the hospital. He released a breath. Honestly, Naruto hated waking up in the hospital, because usually that meant waking up to an overly clean-smelling room and tied up with medical equipment that just creeps him out. As the case he was in right now, Naruto slowly got up and rested his head against the headboard. Just then, a nurse walked in. You're finally awake. She walked over to him and checked him over. What time is it? Naruto lazily asked her. Just about noon. You've been out for a while. The nurse checked his readings and made some mental notes. When can I leave? The nurse looked at him funny. Not yet, later tonight. You lost a lot of B doing whatever it was you were doing. Training. Naruto told her. What? I was training. Naruto said to her in a serious voice. Right, well you received a major wound. I suspect that it won't heal for a while. Naruto looked at his side to see a bandage around it. Usually, the QB would have healed him by now, but he still felt a little weak from it. And that will leave a scar, by the way. The nurse was nice enough to tell him that. I trust that you will stay in here and rest, right? Right. Naruto lied. There was no way that he would stay in there, confined and locked up against his will. No, he will find a creative way of ditching the place. As soon as the nurse walked out, Naruto pulled out all the creepy-looking devices that they had injected in him and got up. He moved a little limply, but that didn't stop him. First, I got to find my clothes. I'm going for my break now, alright Shizune? Sakura asked her friend. They were assigned to work together and so only one could take a break at one time. Sure. I'll just sit here and watch the paint dry. Shizune sarcastically said in a happy voice. Sakura couldn't help but chuckle at her remark. Be back soon. Sakura left the room. Okay, I brought my lunch today, so I'll just go and eat that. She was on her way to the lounge when she remembered that she had to stop by to talk to Tsunade. Oh, right. Sakura turned to the other direction and started walking. She passed many rooms as she went on her way, but one in particular caught her attention. There was a nurse trying to call security on one of her patients. Supposedly he had escaped and now she couldn't find him. Yeah, tall, spiky blonde hair with blue eyes. The nurse said over the phone. Sakura froze after hearing that. She knew him, but was it him? There could be other people with wild, messy golden hair in Konoha. Nah, it was just her mind playing games with her. Focus, Sakura. She kept on walking down, drowning out the sound of the nurse talking. She made a turn around a corner and walked into a room. It was a shortcut to Tsunade's office because no one was allowed in there, so it would save her time trying to go through everyone in the halls. On her way in, she ran into somebody, and ended up falling over. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking. Sakura shook her head as she stood up. I didn't mean to. She became quiet, her heart skipped a beat and she became dizzy. Naruto. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.